So, good evening to you all. Thanks for coming despite rains. I know it's been 2 3 days of not so good weather, but hopefully that not so good weather will change after today's session here. So, anyway, I see a few new faces here. So, just a brief introduction as to what this place is. So, we call this place as Krishna House, and we have programs like this every week, every Saturday here. And we have students and alumnus staying on the top floor of NYU actually. They are Vishal and Sudhanshu, and then yeah, that's Sudhanshu there. So he has blended himself in the crowd very nicely. So anyway, so they stay there, and then we use this space downstairs to have programs like this, just to unplug from the daily hustle and bustle that you go through, the whole, you know, finding job pressure and, you know, assignment pressure, project pressure, exam pressure. The finals week is going on, so yeah, so many pressures and anxieties we have. To unplug from that and to kind of try to see if there is any deeper meaning to life, and try to, you know, question into these deeper aspects of life, as in what is the purpose of my life, why do I exist, and things of that nature. So this is essentially what we do, a brief introduction. Now, going from there, now let's say you are convinced that, yeah, I have to follow some path. We all follow some path. We all have some kind of philosophy in mind as to what is right and what is wrong. But whatever that may be, to do it alone is very difficult, right? We need something like a community where like-minded individuals strive together to do something that everybody agrees on and everybody knows is something higher and will give them deeper meaning, will give a deeper meaning to their lives. And that is exactly where we have our today's distinguished guests, Dwarkadhish Prabhu and Vishakha Priya Mataji. So they have been instrumental in building one such community, not just one such community. They have been like, they are like the founding fathers, you can say, actually founding father and founding mother of that community in Chowpatty, Mumbai. And that model has been followed in so many places around the world, where more and more people are, you know, finding a home in this on this path of spirituality, on this path of well-being, connected to a higher reality. So I'm sure you all must have read their formal introduction of the group. So Prabhuji is a doctor by profession, and not only that, so he also counsels many of the families in the community, many students. Like, I mean, we all are students in a way, but then so they have touched the hearts of so many individuals. So we are really lucky to have them. They have an experience on this path for almost what, like 30, 40 years.
Lifetimes.
So we are really lucky to have them here. So yeah, let us all welcome them again. And everyone move a little.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for having my wife and myself today among young, bright, surcharged, high energy individuals. Feel only automatically energy as we're coming here, really, honestly. A lot of energy in this room. I can feel that. Nice people. Feel all the more energized, all of us. Thank you for that. So, I want to share a few thoughts uh, just to stimulate the mind's sort of in a sense of direction. So, I was wondering when you asked the question, how many years have you been into this? I don't know why the word lifetimes came out from my mouth. But then I think about it myself. It was not a premeditated answer, right? So we all have been for lifetimes in search of something higher, actually. This is not our first life in this world. And it's not going to be the last one either. Right? We've been on a journey for a long, long time. Even speaking from one of evolution, and we have passed through several lifetimes. And we are very fortunate that we are now in a human form, right? And the fact being that we have higher faculties at our disposal now, where we can literally search for higher truths. Because life has higher truths. There are dimensions of truths. There are lower dimensions of truths, and there are high dimensions of truths. Just like we have physics, we have high dimensional physics, high dimensional sciences are there, subtle sciences are there, right? So also in the field of science, in the field of spirituality, there are higher truths are there. So today we're going to speak about how we can actually harmonize our life's energy in a way to reach goals which will give deep inner fulfillment. But we have taken a violent topic today, learning from the army. So we're talking about, when you talk of spirituality, you talk of peace and calmness and equanimity, but we're going to draw some lessons from armies, from wars. And of course, you're already aware about the sad war which is already going on. How many days? I don't know, 40 days now. More than that. 1.5, 2 months, more than 2 months, sir. 1 2 months, this war has been going on, seems to not be going to an end. I don't know how it's going to be. Yes, there is a war on the level of two very big countries of the world are warring. But this war is not just at that level. War happens at different levels in this world, different types of wars. The daughter, I can tell you that, it's so sad, you must be knowing this, that when a person dies, right, within a few minutes, a few hours, the body starts decaying. The same bacteria which are in your body, my body now, are in that body as well. Right? But they begin to give out a bad stench, they multiply, and you want to get the body to the crematorium or sort of do the final rite soon, otherwise things will get very bad. Why? Because the body's ability to really fight those same bacteria which are in your and my body also is lost. So if I were to look into the microscope, look at our bodies right now, there's a fight going on at the cellular level in our body right now also. Right? There are bacteria that try to attack us. It's coming from our air, the food we've been eating. Eating dhaba food or street food, all the more bacteria are there. In India, there are a lot of dhabas, right? So those food will have a little more few more million bacteria than that. So to prevent the diarrhea from happening, the bacteria have to be cut. So there are something called as a little bit of biology. My condition nature what to do. I cannot not talk about biology. So there are some cells called as granulocytes, neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils. So they have, like you have missiles released to destroy. Also, they have granulocytes, they have granules inside. The cell actually bursts and releases toxic substances which can actually kill bacteria. So, is it not a war? They are trying to succumb and take charge of the body and give you a dysentery or amoebiasis or something like that, and the cell try to destroy. So, there's a war. There's a war at physical levels. Communities fight. You have seen fights in your family. Two brothers fight. Father is no more. Left behind a big estate property. Mera tera,
Everybody is smiling.
Familiar, civil courts are filled with, brothers, sisters fighting over properties that belong to the parents. So there is this war at that level, right? So you can see war is very much a part of our existence. And if you go even more, one step deeper into that and look into your own mind, what is happening in the mind? Is it calm like a lake, beautiful lotus flowers, and swans and breezes and honeybees all around? Is it like that? Feels like more like a battlefield, no? Yeah. The mind is like a field, and those thoughts, our desires, what we can accomplish, what cannot accomplish, all that actually is enough. So we call it a mental conflict. Even says I'm going through a conflict, internal conflict, right? So with this background, it is easy to understand why the most powerful dialogue in this world, spoken 5,000 years ago, was spoken on a. It wasn't when Arjuna is sitting and relaxed in Dwarkadhish ashram, Krishna is saying, "Hey, how are you doing, Arjun? How was the day at Dwarkadhish's place? Yeah, I hope you're doing well. How are your exams and all that, right?" He had exams. He had to go through a lot of exams with Acharya. So it wasn't a casual, like friends talk, "Hey, catch a raya." No, it wasn't like that, right? It was a very intense environment, right? Tense muscles were there, and they were like ready to just, waiting for the conch to blow and Har Har Mahadev shoot, right? And that situation, Krishna actually takes a halt and Arjuna says, "Let me see who's come." And the whole story, whole dialogue starts. Right? So therefore, the relevancy of the Gita is immediately felt by all of us. That we all at all times are in some sort of a biological war, emotional war, physical war. Some sort of war is always going on. Right? And therefore, the Gita becomes an absolutely relevant scripture. Very, very relevant scripture. And therefore, the 700 verses are packed with such information. They stood the test of time. As students of science, I'm student of science as well, all of us are science students, right? How science changes so rapidly, right? And theories which are, Dalton said, atom cannot be divided in 1900, right? But then said they broke the atom and neutrons, protons, mesons, and we go on subatomic particles, and there are dozens of subatomic particles around today, right? Dozens of them. And the search still goes on, right? So science is always change, right? So there are many examples of that, how science is. However, the authenticity of something is tested by the power of time. If something is not destroyed by time, the most powerful destructive force in the world is time. Correct? Nothing destroys more things in the world than time. If something cannot be destroyed by time, it must be very powerful, because time is so powerful that it can destroy anything. Empires, buildings, dynasties, everything can be destroyed, right? Roman Empire, everything is finished. Maratha Empire, everything is not finished, right? So something which can be there in the world for 5,000 years and not destroyed by time and still revered, worshipped, and in high esteem by highest intellectuals, by scientists, psychologists, intellectuals of the world. And that must be a very, very powerful scripture. Right? So our search for higher truths will be fulfilled to a large extent if we were to spend a bit of a time. We read papers, we read newspapers, we read WhatsApp messages, we do so many things, Instagram, a lot of time. Can we spend on something which is of deep value, like the Bhagavad Gita, right? So, um, any thoughts on that?
Seeing all of them, I'm remembering when I came to the programs like you all at your age. I was just remembering one ad which used to come at that time on the television. So of a washing powder ad. You see, surf or whatever it must be, I don't remember. But how the advertisement goes, the advertiser himself, obviously ad is not that something happened and then they patch it up. They spoil the clothes and then they use that powder to show that how it cleans up the whole spoiled mess which is done. So I had heard this example long back that Krishna did an ad for Arjun. He put his own devotee in illusion and then he washed him with Bhagavad Gita. He cleared his doubts and Nashta Moho, they say. He cleared his doubts and he told him that this is what it is. And usually at our age, our concept is what that religion. So there's something to do at old age when you have all white hair and no teeth and walking stick and that's what is it got to do with young person like me? And we all used to think like that. How is it relevant to me? Why should I do it? And how does it apply? And not only you think, anyways you think like that, your friends and your relatives will tell you the same thing. Pagal ho gaye kya? At this age, enjoy life, why do you want to get into all this Gita and but if we understand the way Prabhuji is explaining that Gita was very significant. Why Krishna chose to speak it on the battlefield? He could have spoken it anywhere else, as he was telling, in the palace or dinner table, and ऐसे ही बात करते चल यार, let's discuss some armchair philosophy or something like that. But he chose a situation knowing that tomorrow you and me, we are going to be in the same situation. What was the emotions experienced by Arjun? Stress, confusion. What else? On the battlefield, what do you experience?
Guilt of fighting family.
Guilt. What else? Fear. Greed, anger. Any of these are like positive emotions? All negative emotions, right? The stress, he was depressed. He was in depression. His mind was not working. He was confused. Some similar emotions which we go through at this age, especially. We don't know what to do at such crossroads in our life, whether we should take this career or that career, whether I should date this girl or that girl, or whether I should eat this food or that food, or what should I do, join this university. At every point we are at crossroads, we don't know what to do. Same thing was with Arjun, but it was how many years back? 5,000 years ago. And today, down the line, so many years, we are experiencing the same emotions, but multiplied 1,000 times.
Yeah.
What we go through, the confusion, what we go through, the depression and the stress, what type of stress we go through. Today, small children go through stress. We went to somebody's house the other day, and that girl was howling away and crying. I said, what's the problem? She has exams tomorrow, low KG exams. And she has to go for tuitions and she doesn't want to go. I said, low KG tuition, I didn't even go to tuition till 9th standard. But she has that stress because she has her exams. So right from that age to whatever you call it, everybody is going through so much of this situation. And that is why, what is the best profession in today's day and age? Pardon?
Yeah.
Motivational speakers. Yeah, they are a type of therapist only. They just you need to just motivate everybody. Come on, yeah, do it. Do it. So every nook and corner, somebody is What are you doing? I'm a motivational speaker. At home they can't motivate their own people at home, but they motivate the whole world outside, So motivational speaking has become the in thing. Why? Because we go through these emotions. Why would it be, If few years back we had never heard of motivational speakers, something like this. But today they are springing up every gully. But if you think in the right way, there was no better motivational speech than Bhagavad Gita. In that stressful situation, your motivational speakers speak in a AC hall, audience is sitting relaxed, speaker is also relaxed, some buttons he's pressing and some slides he's showing. Like a very peaceful environment, and he gets paid for it. A lot of money he makes, and a lot of clicks, YouTube likes, and everything is there. He's doing it for name, fame, and all these things. But how much the result is there on the audience, we don't know. Sometimes it's so temporary. You see people say, oh, I attended this motivational speech and I was so enlivened. I did this. After a month or two, you meet and it's again like this. What happened? No, it worked for some time, but then didn't work. So the effect is so temporary. Why? Because they are not doing it with the right motivation. They are not backed up. It's their own thought process. Whereas Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, and what was his thought? Imagine why he is the best motivational speaker. Because he is the person who gave the power of speech to every motivational speaker in the world. Isn't it? How are they able to speak? Because of the power which Krishna gave them. Otherwise, they could not be able to speak anything. So, what could be better manual? You might think, what type of a manual somebody can have. Everybody has, handbook in your studies or whatever. But this Bhagavad Gita is such a manual that anything you want, there is an answer to it. That's why it has how many shlokas? Anybody knows in Bhagavad Gita? 700 shlokas.
How many chapters?
Yes. If it was just a dialogue between two friends, यार लड़ाई करने का मन नहीं हो रहा है, क्या करें? चलना है यार, छोड़ कर ले लड़ाई, 2-3 तीर इधर उधर मार दो, हो गया. So it would get over in 2 shlokas or 4 shlokas maximum. But it took 700 shlokas. Because every aspect, whether it is physical, emotional, social, spiritual, mental, anything you think of, it has an answer to that. If you do, there are so many people, motivational speakers also, they use Bhagavad Gita as a base. They may not directly be able to say, because in one sense, any religion you see, it's all based on Dharma Shastras, right? It's all based on what? Dharma Shastras. You see, Bible is based on, Christianity is based on Bible, Islam is based on Quran. Bhagavad Gita, this thing is by him. So usually when you are in stress, sometimes you feel like singing, Stress busters. So Bhagavad Gita is known as a song of God. It is known as a song of God. And it was actually, you can sing the Bhagavad Gita. It's not just that you have to read the shloka like that. So Krishna, understanding the future of what we all would go through, he gave it. And why do we say it's relevant to you and me even at any age? Because it was not spoken to an old person. Arjun was not old. He was a young warrior. Old inactive people ke liye. But no, he was young. He was active. He was a family man. He was not a sadhu with a beard or anything. It's meant only for them. Bearded person nahi tha. Family man, he had 4 wives, not 1 wife. 4 wives, So, and actually, it taught him how to manage on a battlefield. So, if we all could just understand this simple thing, that by some good fortune of ours, we have so many Indians are there, or so many people are around the world. But we were fortunate enough to come in contact with some truth like this, which could be a solution to all my problems, provided what? Provided I have a desire, I have interest in it, and I feel it's for me. Some people say, oh, that Bhagavad Gita was for Arjun, Mujhe kya lena dena? But sometimes, there are schemes, 1 plus 1 free. So Krishna spoke to Arjun, but it was free for all of us, If we could apply it, take it, apply it, and you see it works for all of us. So, as we understand that life being a battlefield and Bhagavad Gita having spoke on a battlefield, so many lessons are to be learned. Today we just thought, something we will take 5 lessons at our age, how it could help us to tide over life and whatever situations which we could go through.
Right. So talking of wars, one has to have armies, right? There has to be armies. There has to be confronting sides. So what do we learn from an army? A person who joins the army is a training, right? As a on the lower rungs. What is it trained into? So while we are also going through our war of our life, what would we need to get trained into become good warriors to fight the battle of life effectively and not go through this depression and what to talk of depression. As a doctor, I've seen people commit some suicidal thoughts these days, and all sorts of things are happening because the capacity to really handle stress, failures, right, broken relationships is actually on the decline. We may go to the gym and have big biceps and triceps and hamstrings, but what to talk of? How do we develop our mental muscles? That's far more critical than just having a good, six pack sort of stuff, right? What about this? This is going to be far more important, right? So uh, let's take some lessons from the army, right? Let's start with that. So I would say that one of the first things a person joins the army, he needs to have a very high level of motivation, right? He's going to fight a war on behalf of the country. Is it a very lofty goal? It's a very lofty goal. He's going to be protective towards his country, right? So we need to have very high level of motivation. Why motivation is important? Because there will be times when we may actually go through some failures also, but the motivation is high. You use every failure as a what? As a stepping stone, right? And we don't define ourselves by our failures. Very important, right? I failed an exam. I'm not a failure. I failed the exam.
Just remember this beautiful statement on failure. They say failure is an event. It's an event. It is not what a person goes through. But people start feeling
I'm
they
not a
are
failure.
failures.
I failed. I was walking and I fell down, right? So I fell down. So the event was because I was a banana skin there and therefore I slipped, fell down, right? So the ability to handle failure. So when you have very high level of motivation in your life, right? Now we are trying to, what is the motivation we need to keep? We are trying to shoot towards understanding the higher truths of life. Who is God? What is the soul? What is the nature of life? What are the laws of karma which govern this world? Like there are laws, right? There are laws everywhere. There are laws in New York, laws everywhere, right? So there have to be laws which govern the world also. Is it not true? Right? Otherwise, how is it that the sun is rising in a particular time, fixed time? Sun is setting, there are high tides, there are low tides, the flowers are coming in, right? All things are happening, how the biological forces are working. So there has to be laws which govern everything. If there's a law, there has to be also a lawmaker, right? In science, you have law of Newtonian laws, first law, second law, third law. So did Newton make the laws? There were Newtonian laws, but they are not made by Newton, right? Somebody made the law which Newton discovered. So then question arises, who made the law? The lawmaker. Right? So there's a lawmaker, right? And so the Supreme Lord is a lawmaker. We understand more about laws of action and reaction which govern human behavior. It's called the law of karma. Right? Law of karma. So these all things to understand subtleties of that. So that requires very high level of motivation. I think all of us at some time in our life wonder what's the goal of life. Did you all wonder that at some point of life? I went through that in my life as an adolescent boy. What is life all about? And sometimes I would feel that my cousins are all having a good time partying. There is Raksha Bandhan, there is this party, and there is some event, there's some shadi is there, and we're having a good time. And I was like, this is all that life is all about. Just meeting hey, तो साड़ी कहाँ से लाई, and ये कहाँ से लाया, and all this gossip is going on. It's just that nothing more to life than there's all this superficial stuff. Look at the stars in the sky and say, where did all this end? Is there life on those stars? Is there life on other planets? What is beyond the stars? And who made all these stars? Who made all the sky? Right? But I would not feel happy. I would not be able to ask this question to anybody. Because like, क्या बोलते हैं पागल है? ये सब सोचने का time नहीं है. So you couldn't ask anybody, right? But there was a hankering, there was a craving in my heart, and therefore that led me to reading about from Vivekananda, from Aurobindo, Pondicherry, and I started reading books of philosophy. Maybe my philosophical quest has to get satisfied somewhere, right? And only when I read the books of Divine Srila Prabhupada, that was when I was in second year MBBS, with my second year undergraduate, that actually those questions were really satisfied as to who actually is that lawmaker. Is it some force, is it some light, or is it a person? Right? So many things became clarified because of that. So to have, the first thing we require in our life is that we do not have to just feel depressed by outside of the events of life, but have a high level of motivation, right? Very, very important. And that happens even to us as a child. When you think of you and myself as a child, that was always there, built in us to actually not give up is inbuilt in our system. When you and I started walking, maybe all first day we just got up and we started running and walking. When we were small, what happened? We got up and then we must have. How many of you had tembus on your head after falling down? Right? Right? Remember we had the tembus. You fell down and now you got bumps on your head and mouth. Oh, beta, kuch nahi, cheeky mar gayi. So, right, cheeky mar gayi, they would say like that, kidi mari gayi. Right? So we all fell down, but we all can walk and run now. Did you all say, no, I cannot walk because I'm falling down? We all intentionally would get up and we would always walk, right? So those falls, when we are driving a cycle, how many of you drive a cycle and what was the experience of driving a cycle? First itself, you're like, no, right? How you fell in the gutter on the first week? Yeah. I am one of those also. Yeah, we came from a club, right? People fell in the gutters, I fell, and there were open gutters that time. When you were young, now there is closed. But I fell in the gutter, and somebody is walking, and you just between somebody's legs, right? So we all fell down, we bruised ourselves, but we never gave up. And today, all of us can drive cycles at any speed for any length of time till our hamstrings start hurting, right? So having high level of motivation. That's very important. That's what a warrior is all about. Till he reaches his highest rank, he wants to become a commander, right? He wants to become high the rank. So keep shooting high. So that's very important to have high degree of. It's almost like a never give up attitude. Prabhupada, for example, our founder Acharya, he received his instruction to go to America and bring this knowledge to the West in year 1922 in Kolkata. So it is the 100th year of he receiving that instruction to go and spread the message all over the world, especially in the Western world, right? And if you read his life history, his biography written by disciples, the amount of failures he went through from 22 to 66 when he came here, 44 years, you will be amazed at how many failures he went through. Right up to the very end, when he was on his cargo ship traveling 35 days from Kolkata to Boston Harbor, right, to heart attacks. Again, big demotivator. When you have a heart attack, you don't want to go further. He was told by the Captain Pandya, Swamiji, go back. Right? Right? So having a high degree of motivation. When we are highly motivated, we are willing to take the second part of Army's training program, and that is called as rigorous discipline. Right? So Army person has to be disciplined. So also in our life, to achieve the higher truths of life, there has to be a level of discipline, right? When you enter a hospital or anywhere, you have BTR system. You have BTR systems here. You put your thumb and we have it here in America. No, we don't have BTR. So in America, in our hospital, when we enter, there is an entry point where when you enter, how does the boss know, how the management knows what time you came, what time you left, right? Yeah, biometric. It's BTR, no, it's called. Yeah. So biometric this thing. So you put your thumb, you say, okay, 10:15 came in, right? So again, what is that for? For keeping us for discipline, right? So there is a discipline in everything which we do in our life. So discipline is going to be very, very crucial. Uh, Again, talking about Srila Prabhupada, this reminds me, he had a very strange system of, his own discipline in our society. He said that at every hour there should be a bell. So in most of our temples used to have a huge bell, ghanta, right? A big ghanta. So every at 10 o'clock there'll be 10, at 11 o'clock, 11 ghantas. And if it would be even 5 minutes late, said you would understand that the chowkidar is either absent or he's sleeping, right? And how the management of the entire temple is going on, you would judge by simply with the ghanta barabar baj raha hai. That means what temple management is in a state of discipline, right? So keeping a high level of discipline is going to be very crucial. What time you sleep, the whole body functioning also does nicely when you do well, right? For example, most of us as students have the habit of sleeping at the late in the night, into the morning, read, and you sleep at what time? 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And so we realize in our life, I was talking about discipline, that at some point that we were visiting people's homes and counseling people and discussing people's lives and things like that, and you sleep at 12 o'clock, and affecting our consciousness and everything else. We said that we will sleep now at early sleep and get up early in the morning, right? And because the discipline of a sadhaka, we are all sadhakas here, right? We want to achieve higher truths of life. So sadhaka has to adopt a discipline which is more conducive towards understanding higher truths. And higher truths are revealed more so when we use the morning hours for sadhana, right? Because the morning hours are consisting of sattva guna. Middle hours, it's going to call as rajaguna. And the evening and post sunset hours are called as, you know what? It's called samsik, right? So if you want to understand higher truths, we use the morning. So as you say, early to bed, early to rise makes you healthy, wealthy, and more importantly, it makes you wise, right? So creating discipline in your life is possible. Try to sleep early and get 7 hours nice good sleep, 8 hours, whatever your body needs. But use the morning time for sadhana. So discipline your life, your eating time, it makes you healthy. Eating at any time, sleeping any time, this is the norm of the day. I ask my patients, what time कितना बजे खाते हैं? सर कभी 4 बजे खाता हूँ, कभी 6 बजे, कभी खाता ही नहीं हूँ, क्या होता है अभी, क्या क्लाइंट आते हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं, right? And so then the whole health is spoiled, acidity, gas, reflux, so many things. So for a sadhaka to be healthy in body, healthy in mind, he has to have what? A proper discipline, right? And so in army, you will see there is a big, intense discipline. To get up in the morning, one of my friends who was in the army was telling me that for them to get up in the morning at 4 o'clock, and that's not the usual time when people get up, right? So they actually would place a small dynamite around your bunker, right? And at 4 o'clock, it would be time to just blow off, right? So it is not like someone said, "Beta utja," like nobody come to pamper you like a mother and say, "Beta utja, देखो जाना है, वो drill के लिए जाना है." It will be a dynamite will blow suddenly, and you just get up. The big start at 4 o'clock, and you just get up, close your sleeping bag, and you rush to the bathroom, and like that, right? So that type of discipline they have is very rigorous, right? So establishing disciplines. I was thinking about yesterday about this, that the biggest empires in the country is the Tata Empire. Ratan Tata, you all know Ratan Tata, his father, J.R.D. Tata. So the Tata house is there in South Bombay. And he was so disciplined when he was 90 years old. He would come to his office at 9 a.m. sharp, right? For years together. So when you talk of Tata Nagar and all the big Tata multi-billion dollar business he has established, one man, it's not just happened because he was in a stroke of luck or he was a good guy and businessman, business acumen. Because he was rigorously disciplined. At 9 o'clock, he would be there before the receptionist came in. Sharp. For years, decades together. So most successes in this world have taken place among people who have been always very disciplined. Something we need to really deeply adopt in our lives. So discipline is to be extremely important part of our growth process to fight for the word of life. Want to say a few things?
Third principle which we thought was, which is very lacking in today's day and age, respect for seniors.
Mm.
The same friend which he's talking about, whom we had, we found his stories very interesting. Whenever we meet him, we just ask him, tell us about how life is in the army, something new which we don't know. So all these stories he was telling, and we felt inspired to share and put it in our life. These lessons which we can all learn at any stage of life. So he was saying that in their army, if they don't respect seniors, they have to fast that day. They are punished. I mean, they don't salute.
You have to salute.
They have to salute the seniors. If you go to see in today's day and age, the respect for seniors, elders, has very much reduced, whether they are our parents, our teachers. In olden days when the students used to go to the Gurukul, they had, like, they could do anything for the teacher. Teacher would say, go to the forest and cut woods, Sudama and Krishna story. They would go and get it and all. But today, we know stories of students who teacher tells something and he'll hold the, in your country, remove the gun and shoot the teacher because I don't like the teacher. So, and parents, how many children and parents have arguments, which is now, it's on the increasing level. Why? Because of the I generation, which has come about. Today's youth, we all think, that I know, I understand, I don't need my seniors. But that virtue, if you could call, of respect, it is so good because through respect, what all you get? You get blessings. You can't go to go to your parents, come on, bless me. It's my birthday today, And then the parents will also not feel कि अभी ऐसे demand करके, But when you just bow down to your parents, automatically the hand goes up. You don't have to even have to ask for it. So respect brings about obedience also. That when you respect somebody, you feel like obeying. If you are going somewhere, and if you respect somebody, you will open the car door, like, please come out. Why? So to the degree of respect you have for your seniors, to that degree you will be benefited, to that degree you will learn, to that degree you will take guidance. Otherwise, you don't feel like taking guidance. And today, so many of us go wavered in life because we don't want. Even if people want to give guidance, we feel we know. And then we learn through the school of hard knocks. Right? So, this principle of respecting our seniors, in the army, they are punished in a particular way. But sometimes we get punishment in our life. Through different situations, we might go through, some wrong decisions we make, some misguide, we get misguided in a different way. So even though it is a dwindling virtue, if we could bring it to mind that elders are not our enemies, elders are there for my protection. So that degree of respect, if we could remember, it could seriously help us to win in the battle of our life. We're talking of the battle. So the fourth point which we thought of, we can take some questions, so we are fast forwarding. The fourth point, which very important in a battle, is what? If Pakistan is coming from opposite side, will you go alone? Come on, Pakistan, do what you want to do. You don't do that, right? You go in a so camaraderie, interdependence. Can we face challenges in our life alone? If today you were asked to do something and I'm just all alone. First of all, I have nobody to see, nobody to feel inspired from, nobody to learn from. So when we have get-togethers like this, it really helps because we are all in the same boat. Little different size or little different color, but we are in the same boat because we have the same type of challenges. More or less similar age, few years up and down. Same challenges, we understand about it. Our same mindset we have, we understand that properly. Same hormonal changes we go through, we understand that properly. So it helps in discussion when we are in a group. And that's why there is always anything to grow, there is an association. They have the Merchants Association, they will have Lawyers Association, they will have Musicians Association. Why? Because like minded people coming together. So these type of programs are so important. Imagine, if you don't have something like this, there is no enlightenment that we get. And when we see each other, we learn. Like, for example, there were a group of doctors when they joined Krishna consciousness. And how did they feel? Because they felt that, oh, he's also doing MD exam. He's able to chant 16 rounds. He's also able to do, so maybe I can also do it. Otherwise, if I'm alone, I will think, come on, yeah, where's the time? I'm a doctor. I don't have time to do all these things. But when I see if 10 other doctors around me are doing it, that means it's doable. So, for inspiration's sake, for protection's sake, for our own security's sake, we should never isolate ourselves. It's very dangerous. So, in fact, we should want to be in groups where depends on what type of group. You could be in a group of drug addicts, you could be in a group of alcoholics, and then that's what we will learn, right? And that is what is happening today's day and age. Youth is falling victim to these type of habits because of what? Peer circle, what they have. Somebody will tell you, come on, yeah, try the drugs. कुछ नहीं होता है. Nothing happens. Once you try, nothing will happen to you. And then you feel, okay, you also start thinking, maybe it happens to everybody, but I'm quite strong, it will not happen to me. Let me try and see. Nothing will happen to me. And slowly you start gliding down you take a pack of drinks, nothing will happen to me. What can happen to me? And you before you even realize, you are to face the consequences of whatever happens in your life, isn't it? So it is, and why it is very important at our age of youth, because we are most vulnerable at that time. We have still not gone through life, but we see hearsay and we have that enjoying tendency in us that we feel exploring. I'll tell you my example. When I was of your age and some elders would tell me, in my mind I would say, you know what, they are jealous. They didn't enjoy all that, no? So they're trying to stop me from doing it. I'm not going to listen to it. They are envious, and those type of thoughts come in our mind, that they are just trying to remove their own vengeance, that don't do this, don't do that, and all that. We take it in the wrong sense. And they are trying to protect us from these things. And the world is so much, what do you say, no? So many arrows are coming from so many sides that very difficult to resist unless you have interdependence on camaraderie, which is one of the most important lessons of the army, which we should take. That let's not overestimate our own mental power and strength and everything. That I am that exception. I can be with, if you just think, I can be with 100, drunkards or drug addicts and nothing, I will not get affected. Not possible. You can't go into a coal mine without dirtying your clothes. Isn't it true? So just remembering the coal example, I'm remembering another example that many times when we attend these type of classes or when we read our Shastras, Bhagavad Gita or something, we feel that I don't understand anything. अभी ये पढ़ के क्या करना है, or like I go to the programs till I'm sitting here, I feel, yeah, what you say is right, yeah, it makes sense. But the moment I step out, everything has got evaporated. So whether it is worth doing all this or no, but a beautiful example is there that if somebody has a coal basket, it's a basket, and they tell you that can you can you get water from the river over here? And you feel a basket with water, how can you get? Basket has so many holes. All the water is going to drip away. So is there any worth it? So still the teacher told the student that no, you go and get water from the river. Bring it here. He thought my teacher's gone mad, but anyways, he's saying, so let me do it. So it was a coal basket, it was black basket. So he came, went, went and came, went and came. And after some time, what did he see? He couldn't bring the water, but the basket was washed. He couldn't carry the water, but the basket had become clean. Right? So similarly, if we just expose ourselves to good vibrations, good association like this, someday that unknown subtle protection will be there around us, where all these type of emotions which we go through at this age, we will be protected against them. So don't take this as an ordinary event in your life that somehow or the other you happen to be studying in this college and you happen to meet these people who are doing this type of program and all. We are very fortunate because Bhagavad Gita says, Manushyanam Sahasreshu means out of millions of people, one person can get the fortune of coming in touch with that, and that one person is who? Me. That one person is us that we were fortunate enough to come in contact. So this interdependence and camaraderie, please remember this and take advantage of the camaraderie which you have. The last point which we would like to elaborate is vigilance. Right? When you are on a battlefield, can you at any point be unalarmed? So he was telling us that they go in a jeep with a AK-47 and they have to carry it, but it's a very heavy rifle. So, but they have to have it in their hand. So one time he told his colleague, that keep it behind. Na? If some enemy will come, we will take it. So it was just behind. And every day though we are passing by this and no enemy comes there. I take stress, this is a safe route and all. And just within 2-3 days of keeping it back, enemy came. Hey, gun, where is the gun? Where is the gun? Started searching for the gun. So then he learned the lesson. Okay, that's why you have to have it always in the hand. That is part of the vigilance which you are supposed to have, So same way, be armed with the weapon of knowledge, stand and fight. That's what Krishna told Arjun. So we have to be vigilant with our life because life is too short. You never know. Right? We think, oh, I am so young. There must have been youngsters like you in Ukraine. Huh? There were youngsters like you during Corona. Death came at any time. And nobody knew when it is going to come. Right? And they lost the chance, whatever dreams they must have had, whatever aspirations they must have had. So this thing is that life being a battlefield, let's make the best of life. And we have an opportunity to use our intelligence in the right way. Let's not, this lockdown and all has made people introspective. Do you feel? After coming out of Corona, everybody has become like a little bit, oh yeah, they become more serious with life, they become a little more alert. Anything can happen at any time. That fear factor, sometimes a little bit of fear is good. Not that, we should always live paranoid, oh, what will happen from here? From under the thing, something will come. From above, something will come. Then you can't live only. Huh? But also you just can't, without any armor, go into the battlefield. Whatever missile and bullet and whatever has to come. You can't be naive like that also, right? So let's use our God-given intelligence and take these 5 lessons. Do you remember the 5 things? First one was what?
Motivation.
High level of motivation to do something good. One who has no goal, they are like, it's like I don't know what I'm doing in life. So high level of motivation, intense self-discipline. Disciplined people are always successful people. Third was what? Respect for superiors. Fourth was what? Interdependence on camaraderie. And fifth was vigilance. So they are simple lessons but very profound lessons. And if you can remember these and put them in our lives, then maybe we'll not just come out like animals of jail from the lockdown, but we'll come out like yogis out of the cave. Learned people.
I remembered one example as you were saying this. This example struck me very well. They said that in our own minds, there are 2 dogs. Right? There's a white dog and there's a black dog. Right? And both of them are fighting to catch our consciousness. That's like the dogs fight for the bone, right? So they want to take a grip of our consciousness. So which dog will win? What happens? Which dog will win usually? The dog which actually becomes more strong. And who becomes strong? Who is fed. The dark dog is our dark side. The white dog is our white side. Do we all have 2 sides to ourselves? Have you experienced there's a good side to you Have you experienced that? You feel like doing good to people, you feel like being kind, you can be affectionate, be philanthropic, right? You have seen the dark side. Which one did you experience that more? Dark, right? Huh? Which is more prominent usually? Dark side, right? Yeah. The dog which you feed will win the war, correct? And usually we'll end up feeding the dark one. That's what happens. Our conditioned nature is there, we feed the dark side. Therefore, the vigilance factor which she said, I mean, keeping the mind very, very fixed up in higher knowledge. When we read scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, then it actually, like you drive a car, if the windscreen is there and there is a wiper, right? If it's raining heavily, the windscreen is all hazy and fuzzy and you can't see where you're going. But as the wiper is moving, it becomes very clear. Similarly, when you read the Gita, the mind, the conscious becomes very clean and you can see what direction you are taking. And therefore, we learn, we get the strength to feed the, which dog? The good dog. There's a good dog and a bad dog, right? White dog. If you feed the good dog, that dog becomes powerful. Now, when you don't feed the bad dog for some time, the dog will, when you don't feed the dog, what happens? The dog will become just, okay, name it kya hua, chala, name it rakhana, right? The dog becomes sometimes even more,
Aggressive.
it becomes more violent. It starts screaming, right? When you start feeding only the good dog in within you, the bad dog doesn't just give up the fight. It becomes, so you may find for some time that the struggle after coming to the path of spirituality will become even more sometimes intense because you are really taking charge of your life. Like a free flow, right? Yes, so whatever the mind is saying, you are giving to it in a passive way. But now you're taking control of your mind, control of your activities, control of your discipline. You're really taking charge of your entire life in your hands by following these 5 things which mentioned above. And that time you will find that for some time there will be a struggle. Huh? You will need a lot of help, right? There will be a lot of conflict will be there. And because still the good dog becomes strong and the white and the black dog, the dark dog, that are becoming weak because they get fed, then start screaming. When it becomes quietened down, you have to really keep feeding the good dog nice. That good dog will come in association as well as Sata Sangha. Right? Sata means good, Sata means eternal. And Sangha means association. So this is what we had just for the last 1 hour and what the program is going on for last 1 year, which Jitendra and everybody else is conducting, right? It's a Satsanga and it's such a useful thing. And you can be very sure that by adopting this, you will never be the loser. Never the loser, right?
Win the war.
Yeah, you'll never be the loser. You can definitely win the war of life, right? So we guarantee you this. Keep these principles in mind. Thank you.
Take a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yes.
Very well spoken and really very good point. So I am from Dehradun, and Dehradun is arms capital of India. Indian Military Academy is over there. So what I realized is like all these points are very much easy to be applied on soldiers because IMA is a multi-million-dollar institution which is established for imbibing discipline, imbibing a camaraderie, and training them in these skills, right? But for us, we have our materialistic world and we have our search for spiritual world also. So giving you a personal example, I want to have this life of discipline. I try waking up early. Let's say not at 4:30. I tried to wake up at 5:30, which is which is late.
Very good.
But still.
Before sunrise, at least.
Before sunrise, at least, yeah. So, but every time, like if I decide to wake up tomorrow early, I'll go off to sleep today early, and 1 day or 2 day I'll be able to wake up early. But the third day I'll have an assignment deadline, and I have to work on that no matter what time is there. And I realize that it's 5 in the morning and I'm still doing my assignment. I've not yet slept. So what do you suggest I do in that case? And the second question is like how to tackle these setbacks in this procedure, because if this setback push me back and I'm not motivated enough to do it on the second day or the third day, then I will complain to myself that I'm not this path is not worth
your endeavor is going to be counted, right? You did not laze around and you were in bed and kept snoozing the alarm. "Uthta hu yaar, baad mein uthenge." If you were snoozing, then that would be something which will go against you. But you are not snoozing. You are actually doing something very constructive in your life, right? So it wasn't a failure. It wasn't a failure at all, right? So what you are doing is you are fully conscious that I have to sleep, but you know you had assignment, kya kar sakte hain, right? So you're still winning the war. You're good. You're good.
We don't stop trying. Like suppose one day I couldn't do, I just pick up the next day.
Yeah,
Like, we also
that
go
was
through.
really-
He's a doctor. Sometimes he gets night calls. He has to go there, and he comes back early morning. During Corona time, so half the time he was in the hospital. But still, na, that if you are highly motivated to do what you are doing, once or twice these things might happen in between. Then you get back to the normal routine. It's not a regular thing. It's a once in a way pattern that
Yeah.
comes up.
So if you're 100% sleeping, losing on getting up in the morning, 100%. So now at least you are 8 on 10, you are successful. On 7 and 8, you are 10, you are successful, right? So percentage is increasing, no? Right? पहले तो 100% failure ही था. But now it's getting better, right? So not a problem. Your small victories actually one will motivate you. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Baby steps. So as you said regarding this thing, the association of devotees, like-minded people, and especially association of senior people who are there to counsel you, you need to accept that these people are my well-wishers. You see, we all need well-wishers. Somehow some things are there in our life which we cannot always talk to our parents. होता है ना ऐसा चीजें जब दिल खोल के बात नहीं कर सकते हैं. थोड़ा सा reservation रहता है कैसे बोले मम्मी को क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं इधर बैठ के. But sometimes you have people who are neutral, right? Who are not going to be judgmental. They're not going to slap us also for doing the wrong things, right? But you will actually befriend us. So like people who are sitting one who is behind you, you're a professor. You're a professor.
Ashwin. Professor Ashwin.
Ashwin. Professor Ashwin, right? So I can see in him a personality of a person who actually loves you all so much, right? This program was organized by him and his whole team which is there. So he would be more than happy to give you any amount of time necessary when you go through those difficult times, right? So to have a genuine, non-selfish well-wisher in our life is one of the greatest gifts of God. Please believe me. Where you can open your heart and say, "Boss, ऐसा हो गया यार, क्या करेगा अभी?" Right? This happened. I flustered. I made a mistake. I made a mess out of my life. Right? What can I do now? So to have some help like that, because we all make mistakes. Where is anybody human here? We all going to make mistakes then, right? So you have somebody like that. It's so wonderful. So please know that you are in a good place, in a good shelter. Somebody is really willing to help you at all times. This is itself a blessing. It's a blessing. नहीं सबको नहीं मिलता है. Anybody else?
Thanks for an amazing talk. So about respecting the elders. So what to do in the case of dualities of life? For example, we have an elder who is a well-wisher, but is not a good person, who is a bully to others.
Who's that?
Who is a bully to others, for example, who is a corrupt person. But then he wishes well to me. And it's very hard for me to listen to this person or respect this person. This person could be anybody, like a boss or like a parent or like anybody, How to deal with such kind of situation?
There are levels of respect. It's not just a one standard activity, right? Levels of respect. Some people you respect very deeply. Some people you respect at a distance also. There are in India there are trucks where they say keep safe distance. We have a truck with a keep safe distance. So that means some people you respect, but you still keep away from them. You respect so much. He said, if he says something to you, you will just do it because hey, you know what? He said it. उन्होंने बोला तो करना ही पड़ेगा, right? There are levels of, but we don't lose respect. But we actually strategize our relationship, whether it will be very intimate or at what level, but we do not allow our mind to really disrespect somebody. But we just choose how much to actually give that respect. And for example, when you
Like in the
respect,
army also, there might be a rascal commander. But if they don't, if they will say, I will not salute him because I know he's a rascal. They are still, that etiquette is there. Whom do you respect because of age or because of
Yeah.
some seniority? You are respecting because of that, right? So that can go on, but whom I should follow, whom I should imbibe, that is my choice. I don't have to
so
follow
you-
everybody whom I
you
respect.
can be discriminated. But we're talking about the virtue of respect is to be kept at a universal level, but degrees of respect can vary.
Does it make sense?
Degree of
It's not
respect can.
easy.
Whoever said anything is easy in life.
That is
Hmm.
Let's thank our speakers.
We are amazed to know that they just landed on Wednesday, and from Wednesday onwards, actually, they've been meeting people and helping them, and yeah, it's been a continuous thing for them. I'm down for a week when I travel from India, but yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. I must congratulate them that you have an amazing group. Very inspiring program. Thank you.
Only one request, please keep coming. Like in the land of America where everyone is living such a selfish life, right? Because there's a lot of selfishness around you. They kind of, right? Who cares for anybody here? Whether you are whatever you are, nobody cares. But somebody will find here who really cares for you. In this part of the world, in New York City, New York is known for its being very, very hard city. Right? Tough, tough people are there. But here you have something so nice. Oh, Bhagya. Yes. Pakita.